Kachechi will pray for us. Uh, Chelsea will appreciate the meeting. On my honor, I promise that I will do my best to do my duty to guide and to my country. Wherever the people of the best, I will discuss them. Thank you. Aha. This is the Peacelink 360 Conversations Dialogue Series. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to yet another edition. My name is Regan Koba Nyongesa.
My name is Joel Ngala.
And we'll be your hosts tonight. Peacelink 360 Conversations is a platform dedicated to creating meaningful dialogues, inspiring positive action, and empowering young people to become architects of peace. And tonight, we gather to discuss on an issue that goes beyond headlines and politics. It is an issue that touches our schools, institutions, communities, social media spaces, and ultimately the future of our nation. Our topic this evening: Voices of Peace, Youth Dialogue on Preventing Radicalization and Building Resilient Communities.
Today's conversation comes at a time where young people continue to shape the future of Kenya. They're the innovators, the entrepreneurs, and the positive attitude towards change in the nation. Despite this, another reality dawns upon us. These same youths they face misinformation, hate speech, violent indulgence, among various malpractices in the society. The question before us is tonight is not why this happens, but simply how can we ensure that young people become builders of peace rather than instruments of conflict? Because every young person deserves an opportunity to thrive and not to be manipulated.
Helping us unpack this important subject are two outstanding guests. Joining us first is one of our psychologists. She's a psychologist by profession. She is a renowned lecturer at Kisii University, who will guide us through the emotional and behavioral aspects of radicalization, helping us understand why some young people become vulnerable and how resilience can be developed. Dr. Rhoda Auli is a lecturer and a psychologist who is joining us to help us and give us insights on this topic. Welcome to Peacelink 360 Conversations, Dr. Rhoda Auli. If you are hearing this audio, would you confirm if you are with us?
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, thank you. We're also privileged to be joined by a law student from Kisii University who will help us understand the legal perspective or perspective of our constitutional rights, civic responsibilities, and how law protects both freedom and public safety. Maxwell Nyongesa, welcome to Peacelink 360.
Thank you. And before we continue, we may start by understanding what radicalization is. So I'll pose a question to the audience. In one sentence, you can write in the comment section. In one sentence, why do you believe that understanding radicalization is very important for you as a young Kenyan today? Yes, sure. What's your view? Yes.
Thank you so much. Radicalization is the process by which any person embraces a certain belief about something.
That's such a good insight from Shua, one of our own. Uh, from a psychological perspective, what is radicalization? This question goes to Dr. Rhoda Auni. What is radicalization and what emotional or behavioral changes should families, teachers, and fellow young people look out for before someone is drawn into violent or extremist ideologies?
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to say that this is a very exciting move. If feeling 360 conversation is very, very important. And then finally, society generation. I'm proud of you guys for picking this up and running with it. Actually, get I mean, to um, go viral on the go out the quick list from my area, my background area, which is psychology. And so for me, whereby psychologically and totally somebody begins to outwork the think to the range of extreme teachings, extreme ideas, extreme perception of, um, of the way things are done. And therefore, it's very easy for us to start judging people without understanding them. And this conversation is important to really have, when we need to understand where people are coming from. Psychologically, I just want there are many reasons. I just really get here three reasons why somebody is vulnerable as opposed to another person. Why is one very vulnerable to radicalization as opposed to another person? Because there will be another aspect of this alone and these people need to be peer pressure. But basically, first and foremost, an individual to be vulnerable because one of their background, the family background, in the sense that supposing somebody has experienced a little injustice when they were young, and feel like very, very vulnerable. And injustice can come in very, very form. Justice can come in form of growth, whereby you get your beloved ones as a young child, and therefore by virtue of being orphaned, you're not lucky enough to get another socially support system that grows you up. And therefore, what you are going to be justice. And every time you're not to be things like because I'm not this happened to me. And so if you are go up to the level of pain and vulnerability full of those experiences as a young person. And so you're looking for a particular field and field to be given value to project to your pain. And so you are a very, very easy candidate for radicalization because if you give them like they give them a paper, so give me a platform and then I do express myself, they become violent. But of course, there's also another aspect of losing identity. This happens during a 12 to about 14 whereby psychologically we develop our identity or we get into work position. And so again, as a child, if we go through that particular stage and we discover that we're not able to take an identity, identity comes in as you are as a certain person, particular family, and exposed and mentored to dignified person. And when you know that particular identity, you don't know who you are, you will always be having an urge to belong. And so it's very difficult to take advantage of you because there will be people who want to radicalize you and make you feel like you belong here. You own me. You feel safe here than another space. And for the that reason, to quickly be traumatic experiences. And traumatic experiences, somebody is looking for a way out to vent out from the vent form. And so for me, I start these are two reasons why somebody can be very, very of the ability candidate to be ready for the to another person. So then the issues like personality disposition, the people who are easily vulnerable to regulation as opposed to other people of their personalities, and based on their trends, like who they are. Like if you think about somebody who is extremely outgoing and they go by any name and anything, they don't think it. They don't have to really find out what is going or how is it for me. Those are also candidates of data. Those people can speak about their look at what's happening. Like right now, you discover that there's an expression whereby there's more psychology. We are doing this for people. Ask how many this people say because other people are doing it. That is what people know psychology. It doesn't have to money. But so as long as I'm exposed to the trend to be taken out as a particular in a particular family. When you begin to see that somebody is acting out of the family a normal relation, they want to be known. They want to most of the time do their own things, like avoid family, avoid the normal friendship, going to social places, that is a very quick find out. Because there's no that in pandemic. If you report something on a human being, that stuff is important. So once you start seeing signs of people who are cutting out and finding what is normal, not normal, and especially what is normal to a level of making other people feel like they are not able to understand it. And then, of course, when somebody begins to become less tolerant to people, other people's ideas, to options and finding solutions, and they are no longer buying dialogue. They no longer they refuse to like it once difficult to talk to say, like that, forget about it. I don't think I am going your way. Then there's the aspect of drastic changing behavior. Sometimes people and tell young people, somebody will begin to be in there, then they find a move from some series of movies, some series of thinking, some series of documentaries that are feeding them. Remember, the declaration has to do with reinforcement. And then something it usually gives you some sense of pleasant feeling. I do it again and again and again. So this is how you find that young person has a lot of series of movies within one particular line, some arguments, and remember the declaration is not also the line of ethics, but it's about the religious aspect, whereby somebody gets overboard, extreme, on a level whereby they have come out of the normal. And so they begin to enjoy themselves. I have plans kept on getting in deeper into the decolonization extremism of some form of religion, and they had series of downloaded material just based on that particular aspect of what I would call a cult for me. And so you become the key time to get out. And justifying what is illegal to illegal, justifying people's death, people's pain, people's problems, be okay and feeling like they deserve it. But all said and done, we can always see that there's a change in behavior. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. She has spoke about three major reasons for radicalization in other sections of youth or young people. That is loss or death, sense of belonging. One wants to belong in a particular group, a way of venting out anger or some personal feelings, among others. To you, Wakili, from your understanding of the Kenyan law, how does radicalization differ from exercising constitutional freedoms such as freedom of expression and peaceful assembly? At what point does lawful civic participation become unlawful conduct? Wakili.
Thank you. Allow me join Dr. in congratulating the move to have this conversation today. And I know at the end of the day, everyone will go home wiser when they came here. So back to your question, when you talk about radicalization, you find the aspect of extremist ideas, maybe in terms of politics, religion, and stuff. So looking at the freedoms under the Constitution, we have the freedom of expression under Article 33. So reading at Article 33 verbatim, it says that every person has the right to freedom of expression, which includes the freedom to seek, receive, or impart information or ideas. So looking at this article, you find that you have the freedom to seek, to receive, or impart information and ideas. However, looking at Article 33(2), it says that the right to freedom of expression does not extend to propaganda for war, incitement to violence, hate speech, or advocacy of hatred that constitute ethnic incitement, vilification of others, or incitement to cause harm. So looking at radicalization, one of the key consequences of radicalization, you find that it might lead to hate speech, where we find that somebody is inclined to one idea of the religion or politics, that to the point that it becomes very intolerant to the contrary. And then you find that at the end of the day, the party will lead to spreading of hate speech against the other side. Then there is the incitement of violence, which has led to the issue of gunism in the country. And when you look at this, it doesn't fall within the precinct of Article 33(1), which requires which gives the freedom to seek, impart, or receive information, except information that might lead to incitement of violence, hate speech, or advocacy for hatred. So, looking at the civic participation, when you talk about civic participation, you look at Article 37, which is the mostly inferred article. But when you talk about participation in general, it includes all other aspects such as voting and taking part in the so-called public participation, where you give your ideas on the policies that are in place, or the policies that the government is about to make. So looking at the point from which lawful civic participation becomes unlawful conduct, we go to Article 37, which guarantees the right to peaceful and unarmed assembly. And so when you talk about peaceful and unarmed assembly, the interpretation of that article is that the right to public participation is only lawful if it's limited to peace and it's unarmed. So looking at we have the law that regulates the meeting, which is the Public Order Act. The Public Order Act under Section 5 provides that all meetings should be held within the precincts of that section. And one of the key requirements is that if you are to hold a meeting, then you have to notify the officers in charge. You notify them within not less than 14 days from the meeting. Then you have you have to notify them within 3 days. Then on another issue that contrary to any meeting or public procession held contrary to the provisions of Section 2 and 6 of the same Act is unlawful. So looking at this, the provisions of this Act is that is to the effect that the Article 37 of the Constitution is not absolute. We have limitations as to the public participation. The Constitution itself on its own provides that the public participation must only be peaceful and unarmed. When you go to the Public Order Act, it provides for the conditions that must be met before this meeting can qualify to be a peaceful meeting. So if you are unarmed, then automatically that falls outside the constitutional guarantee of public participation. Then the shield against you as a right is waived if you are armed. Then, if you have not complied with the provisions of the Public Order Act, the provisions such as the notice, then you have to notify the police of the routes that you're going to use. You have to notify the police of the time which you intend to put your meeting, so that they can know and provide the adequate security. So if at all you plan a meeting without following these procedures, then the meeting becomes unlawful assembly. And an unlawful assembly is punishable under the law. And if you take part in an unlawful assembly, you are guilty of an offense, and you are liable to imprisonment for 1 year. So looking at this these articles and the law from the legal perspective of it, is that our laws are not just absolute. They don't operate in a lacuna. They are limited. So the rights such as the freedom of expression and the peaceful assembly have the limitations on them. And if at all you want to assert these rights, then you have to work within the precincts of the law. And that's where they move from the lawful side to the unlawful side. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon, on your insight. Back to you, Doctor. Across Kenya, we have witnessed situations where youths have been manipulated into violence, criminal activities, and extremist groups. Yet many youths facing such have chosen peace over violence. Now my question is, psychologically, what makes the difference? Or why are some people more vulnerable than other youths?
Thank you. I really want to say that increasingly we are seeing youths that are choosing peace versus violence and out for the seasons which we are in, which can make people even more vulnerable, even the ones that have chosen peace. And normally, what makes the difference, number one, is information. And information is power. Even the Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And you'll discover that basically when you handle, when you have a discussion with many of those who have indulged in acts of violence and the rest, you will discover they have very little information about what really could be the push or could be the focus of their actions. It is very easy to be used, especially when you are an empty vessel. And so you find physically empowered, you'll discover that you can't be bought so cheaply. You will have to choose even your poison. You'll choose, you'll be choosing your prices on what is it that I can do, what I can't do. Because unfortunately, some of the youth you have seen even lose their lives have been bought and the alcohol, sometimes 1,000 bob, 100 shillings. And this is because this is a lot of help on their end. So our needs are very, very important. When a human being is able to meet their needs, daily needs, and when they're able to be economically empowered, and sometimes even academically empowered, you will put some value, tag some value on yourself, and there are things you cannot do. You'd want to reason out, have we exploited this and that and that? Like I would say, there are many, many forms of conflict resolutions. And you know, conflict is not necessarily all the time supposed to be destructive. Sometimes conflict is important that people can become creative. They can start thinking out, what if I did this? What if I had this? Conflict also is important because it gives us an opportunity to really evaluate the situation. So not all the time when we are getting into conflict of resources, conflict in terms of ideologies, conflict in terms of our position, all the time the conflict may not necessarily be destructive. Unless we are conflicted, somebody may not bring out another perception. And so you find that sometimes lack of economic empowerment or academic empowerment, it's easier to mobilize an idle person, a youth who is not in school or who is not at work, or even who has gone through an education system but has nothing, nothing that they're doing with their qualifications. They're just there in the house. It's very easy for them to be candidates to this because you find that they're available and they're not looking forward to anything. You see, if you're economically empowered, even if you're self-employed, you'll be finding out, where are my clients? What am I supposed to do? Where am I getting capital? What about the process? How do I sell my stuff? Or I'm supposed to be making these reports or having this particular meeting. So you find that economic empowerment is very, very key to differentiating who is vulnerable and who is not. And then, of course, as much as possible, you'll find that if you're not able to understand your purpose in life, because each one of us have a role to play. I love what you're doing. You're saying we're not going to wait for anybody to come and talk to us about this. We can discuss this. Let's talk about this. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with you.
Sure.
So you find that a lot of sometimes the youths are waiting for somebody to come to their aid, and they sometimes feel the world revolves around them. So if you are to take two youths and find that one youth is engaging themselves like I am responsible, peace begins with me, and there's something I can do even at my own local level. Sometimes this radicalization is political. Let me use the political example, and we would want to fight leaders, fight be destructive to leaders. Maybe if there's a meeting of people we think that we oppose. And we want to say, like, sometimes they're already in leadership and they're saying they're not good enough, they've not done this and that and that. The question is, what can I do as a person in my own sphere, in my own space? Not everything, by the way, requires capital. Not everything requires some policies. There are things I can do in to know that they also have a responsibility to play. They have a role to play. Like right now we're saying, what wachukue kura. Do you know that still we have some youths who are not even thinking about registering for, as voters or even going to vote, but they are quick enough to be, in the front line to oppose a particular leader and never listen to another particular leader. And so sometimes it is also not knowing, do I have a role to play? If all the young people knew that I also have a role to play, I matter. And in my own space, my small space, there's something that I can do. And that I can also find people like me, who think like me, who can do something like me. That is what we call community engagement, whereby we can set our own programs, our own solutions. We can find solutions to our own problems. Because basically, because I live in this particular space, sometimes I am the best person to even be finding solutions for my own problems, including this economic empowerment. Yes, I can be having a degree in something, yes, but that does not stop my other talents that are in me. Time and again, from where I stand and from where I sit. And I have always encouraged students that nobody lives on one job in this particular country. And anytime you see people, you see opportunity for you to make money. And because this is a market that is ready for you, yours is to ask yourself, we are endowed differently. What is it that I can do for now? For now. So you find that sometimes that is a reason. And then our youth, sometimes you find people who are not, people want to they're born today and they want to walk today and they want to run today. This resilience of growing step by step, learning to know that after crawling, there is trying to stand on things, and there's this making one step and then later on walking and then later on running. So you find that this urge of growing all of a sudden has to be worked on. And it makes a difference between two people. Somebody is ready to be bought to just fly today. Another is thinking like it is pole pole. I can start today and I can go tomorrow, and the next day I can go tomorrow. So lack of mentorship can also be a big factor when it comes to differentiating who is very vulnerable and who is not. Because a mentor is a checkpoint. It's supposed to be a checkpoint. You check out with them and find out, am I okay? Am I thinking so in line? Am I really on their tracks in the event that they're taking it into the depth?
Thank you, Doctor, for helping us understand the psychological facts that can make some young people vulnerable to manipulation. You've highlighted that preventing radicalizations begin with understanding the person behind the behavior, and that change begins with you. Change begins with an individual. Thank you.
Dr. Roda has highlighted that in us catering for behavioral change, one has to know their worth, their purpose, for them to start changing. Now, that was the psychological part of this conversation. But now we want to go to the legal part of this conversation. Let's turn to Wakili. The Constitution guarantees the right of peaceful assembly and expression, as you highlighted earlier in Article 37 of the Constitution. But when demonstrations become violent, where does the law draw the line? And what legal consequences should every young person understand before participating in unlawful acts? Wakili.
Thank you. So looking at the right to peaceful assembly as provided for under Article 37, find that the article is very clear that the right to peaceful assembly can only be exercised if it's peaceful and unarmed. Further, you look at the provisions of Section 5 of the Public Order Act. It has highlighted the conditions that must be met for a meeting to be a lawful assembly. So as I had stated earlier, the law doesn't operate openly. We have to regulate some of these things. Though borrowing from the US system, we find that in the US they have the idea of a marketplace of ideas. We don't really have to put measures or the legislation to curb or to regulate speech. We only have to let people talk freely, and at the end of the day, the truth will stand out from the whole conversation. So looking at the right to peaceful assembly and the freedom of expression, our constitution is clear that it has set the guidelines that need to be met for this this right to be asserted in a lawful manner. And on the question on where does the law draw the line? So the Constitution on its own under Article 24 provides for the regulation. If at all you have to regulate a right, then we have to do it under the provisions of of Article 24, which provides that we have to look at the necessity. Is it really necessary for us to regulate this? And we look at the necessity, then we look at the right on its own. Is the limitation of the regulation just justified in an open and democratic society? I take the example of Kenya. If at all you were to create laws that have to fully regulate, or let me use the example of surveillance. Looking at we want to create laws that will allow the government to use our data or to get data directly from the mobile providers, the likes of Safaricom. We have to weigh this in line of Article 24. Is it really necessary for the government to collect this data? And we look at the second limb, where we look at in an open and democratic society, is this really good for us? So when we come to regulate or drawing the line between peaceful assembly and freedom of expression of the freedom of speech, then we have to look at the regulations on their own. If at all you are to speak, then you have to speak in line with the Article 33 of the Constitution that provides that the right to freedom of expression does not extend to propaganda for war, incitement to violence, hate speech, advocacy of hatred, and the ethnic incitement. So further, look at the NCAC Act, which under Section 13 provides for the issue of hate speech. And I would like to say that the issue of hate speech is a very much contested issue at the moment, because we have the aspect of technology. And at the moment you can tweet from Kenya, then there's another person from the US who will read the same thing. So the issue comes on regulation. How can we regulate this speech across the boundary? Because each country has its own rules. But now, how are we going to regulate this? Then at the moment, we also don't have a uniform definition of what amounts to hate speech. So it has led to a fragmented system where each country develops its own regulation and its own definition of what amounts to hate speech. So that in the sense that what amounts to hate speech in Kenya, maybe in Uganda is not it doesn't amount to hate speech. And that's where the challenges come. But from the legal perspective in Kenya, the government has tried to regulate this the freedom of speech and the right to assembly. In that we have the police coming in under the Public Order Act, where it is imminent that there is a danger, then the police will come in to disperse. And if at all the meeting has not complied with the regulation under the Section 5 of the Public Order Act, again we find that the parties who are engaged in the meeting, both the participants and the organizers, are liable to imprisonment. And we look at the consequences that the young people should understand before participating in a lawful act. I think it goes without saying that when we come to actions, there's always the theory of hedonism, where one weighs between the pain and pleasure. In that the theory is in the sense that a person will do an action depending on the end product. If at all I want to steal, and at the end of the day I will not be prosecuted, and I'll go home richer because of that stealing, then you find that this guy will steal. But if at all he steals and at the end of the day he's in prison, then upon weighing, it leads to this the deterrent. Somebody else will look at him and say, this guy stole and he was in prison for these 5 years and such. So at the end of the day, it will reduce the people who want to engage in this stuff. But looking at the consequences of unlawful actions, we look at the issues of arrest, that you'll be arrested. That's the first thing. You'll be arrested for the offenses like malicious injury to property, where we find that during the protest, we find that people break into shops, they steal, they loot from shops and supermarkets. Then the stealing on its own as an offense under Section 267 to 285 of the Penal Code. We have assault, where you are assaulted, and it's very common in the maandamano, I find that people get assaulted. So one, you can be prosecuted for assault. Then there's the aspect of arson where you find that people burn down. You burn down public establishments. You burn down shops. Arson on its own is an offense. We have robbery where people steal from each other during the so-called public participation or during the strikes. Then there's the issue of incitement to violence, which falls under the presence of hate speech, and participation in local assemblies and riots, as I had mentioned earlier, under Section 5, Section 11 of the Public Order Act, and there are general offenses related to terrorism. Though this offense has been used wrongly, most of the time it's normally used against people who are participating in the strikes. So the youth or the young people should understand that most of this, all if not most of this action lead to consequences such as the arrest, and that's the most prevalent. You get that you'll be arrested and be prosecuted. And another thing that you need to understand in law is that the law acts in personam. That is to say that every person is personally liable for their actions. So you won't go to court and allege that I was coerced, or you are motivated, or otherwise you acted under peer pressure. The court doesn't listen to such. You'll just be prosecuted under pursuant to Section 20 of the Penal Code, where you are taken as an offender. So I think that's all I can say at the moment.
Thank you, Leon, your insight. Back to Doctor. Young people spend most of their time online. Social media can be educative, it can inspire, and it can also mislead. So my question is, how does misinformation, online propaganda, hate speech, peer influence affect your mental well-being and the decision-making of young people? And more importantly, how can they build resilience?
I think your network is a little bit low, but I think I got the question. Yes, social media is here with us. It is part and parcel of our now generation and future. It's the future. And of course, I would love to use this, that it's a powerful tool and it can be used very, very positively than negatively. We just need to bring a lot of, you see, social media has a lot of information to consume from. Sometimes many young people accidentally come through information that brings reinforcement, and after some time, they sink into the pressure of this particular information. For me, I would say this as a psychologist. Actually, if we can have a lot of thing that is liberating, that is true, that is engaging, then we will have the results seen. It's just garbage in, garbage out. Good thing in, good out. Because when we all log online or when we plug in, our systems consume every information that we come across. And you remember, information, I would say, packs itself in our mind based on what it seems like, what it sounds like, what it looks like. So if I'm exposed to a lot of negative information, hate speech, or call it whatever it is, that is what will be full of me. And if I am exposed to information that challenges me, gives me some understanding, gives me some background, some root causes of something, engages me, challenges me to find solution, that is what I will consume. So in the same measure that there could be negative information, the push is, and this is a good thing, and we can call upon this, and maybe let us, as much as possible, bring in a lot of other people to walk this journey, whereby, again, if this is all in the social media, when I'm a young person and I'm opening up a social media platform, whatever platform, and I'm a consumer. So if I consume information that's going to give me a liberation, a point of view, and not a complaining, a vulnerable a person. Right now, even if I was to engage you and tell you just open your phone and randomly go to any page, you will discover that you can't skip 3 posts before you see a very sad one, a very heartbreaking one, a very miserable one. Young people are even opting to complete their suicide, like throw themselves from buildings, hang themselves, kill others and kill themselves, because it is not strange. You know, growing up, that was not something you come across. It would be a whole news thing, but now it is common because that is what is being posted and being posted and being posted. I'm not saying that posting such information is wrong, but there's too much of that. I am persuaded in the same measure there could be also a lot of information that is positive. That I'm opening any social media platform and I can see an engagement here and a liberating information here, a motivating one here, an opportunity here, some good stuff here. And as I consume that, all that information, I'll begin to see reasons to live, reasons to think right, reasons to get out of the warrior situation, the vulnerability, reasons not to follow anything just blindly. And so this is my call for you young people. Rally on and mobilize. And can we have this conversation going on social media, on your many handles, on your many platforms? And can we bring in some more and more and more? And then we can make sure as much as possible that in the same measure, we can bring in positive information, even if it has to start in just our home university, Kisii University, and then spread it out there. A lot of people are already suffering, already in pain. All you need is to just trigger the pain. It's like a wound that is already healing, but it's not healed completely. To bleed. People are bleeding. Times are hard. People have gone through losses. People are pursuing courses they don't even understand. They don't know where to take them to. People are going through economic hardship. So tell me why, if I go to social media and I find other painful information, I should not feed on this, and then I begin to relate with it. I begin to look for ways. We're just projecting. This is a little projection and displacement. Ideally, they are good people. They are sent people. So I want to challenge all young people that in the same measure you are reading a negative something, is there anything positive? Yes. There's a lot of positivity that can be marketed out there. People want to buy pain as opposed to pleasure. But remember, our minds are consumers. You are a product of what you feed on. And so if you're going to feed on pain here, suicide there, violent here, throwing stones there, a death here, and at the end of the day, I add that to my pain, I come with pain. Then now there's this pain. Then I'm at conclusion, nothing works. Kama ni mbaya, baya. Kama ni fire, fire. But if already I have come to the social media with less pain, or even if I have pain, but every after 1-2 posting, I can see something that challenges my head or my mind, motivates me, values me, calls me upon to take action, to learn a skill, to stand for this and that is positive. Then I have less energy to say fire, come and buy. I'll begin to think about it and say, there's this need to take care of. There's another person to take care of me. And there's another person that I really need to take care of. Nowadays, even the young people do not care anymore about family members. So much so that people say, I'm on my own, I'm my own, I don't care. It's very easy to say, tell my father this, tell my mother, I couldn't fight anymore, I'm sorry. like they don't own you. But you see, this is something we need to look at it this way: that you matter, I matter, we matter. Together we are stronger. And so if I bring in my 50, you bring in your 50, it becomes 100. Nobody is useless. Everybody matters. So spread out positivity. Stop being onlookers or scrolling social media and saying nothing. Your voice matters. Begin conversations on those WhatsApp groups. Bring in positivity on platforms that people keep complaining about. People complaining even about nothing. Even when it rains, it's raining too much. It's dry. It's dry. It is hot. It is too hot. It is cold. It is too cold. And we keep reading and scrolling. This is where to bring in a point and say, yes, it is hot. But remember, it's about seasons. It can be hot, it can be cold, and this is okay for today. Instead of just being onlookers, we can put in some positive aspects to it. And so that will count a lot on, we'll call upon on all of us. We are more than enough to change the world. Kisii University, you are more than enough. Flamingo Rover Scouts, you are more than.
Sure.
Influence other people, and the same way negative peer pressure works, positive peer pressure works twice in the same for even a better productivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rhoda Aoni, for that beautiful insight. Dr. Rhoda has helped us identify the problem, what is ailing the youth, gave us a solution, youth to focus on their worth and purpose. And now she's given us an action plan towards creating an impact and change. She says we should start small, with the immediate community being the campus community. Dr. Rhoda Aoni, thank you for your impact and insights. Thank you for your time too, and we appreciate your impact. Thank you very much. I would like to invite one of the online participants to speak on the matter too. Kana one Masiwe Songa say something on radicalization. What have you picked from the two speakers of today, Dr. Rhoda Aoni and Wakilu? What can you say about radicalization? Masi? Masiwe Songa? If Masi is not around, Daisy Kemunto? Okay. With us here, we are joined by the regional youth leader, Lake Region, Richard Byron. A question for you. What do you believe is the greatest challenge facing young people today that increases their vulnerability to manipulation? What do you believe is the greatest challenge facing young people today that increases their vulnerability to manipulation? Byron.
Thank you so much, Regan Kuba, for this opportunity. I think the greatest challenge right now is information overload plus the need to belong. And here is how the combo makes young people vulnerable to manipulation. First, we have the attention economy, where young people today are online 6 to 10 hours in a day. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp groups. Everyone is competing for your attention. Manipulators use that. They don't need to convince you with facts. They just need to repeat something enough times, make it emotional, and make it look popular. Algorithms do the rest. And then number two is about the pressure to belong, where at this age we are young adults. Identity crisis and acceptance matters a lot. Will my friends agree? Will I be left out? Will I look stupid if I disagree? These are the questions that us, young adults, are going through. The pressure makes it easy to go along with a group, a trend, a conspiracy, or an influencer, even if something feels off. Manipulators sell we and us versus them because it feels good to have a tribe. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Richard, regional youth leader. And lawyer, back to you from we need your legal perspective. How can young people become ambassadors of peace by representing the constitution, promoting dialogue, rejecting manipulation, and resolving conflicts through lawful and peaceful means.
Okay, thank you. So on how the young people can become ambassadors of peace by respecting the constitution, promoting dialogue, rejecting manipulation, and resolving conflict through lawful and peaceful means. When you look at the role that the young people play in the society, currently in Kenya, the young people form the majority. And if you form the majority, then it means you have the power to influence most of the decisions. So looking at the constitution, we find that we have rights, yes. But where do these rights end? It's common law that my rights end where yours begin. And then it follows that if I really respect your rights and you respect my rights, then we will have a very peaceful country in that my rights are respected by my neighbor and I respect also my neighbor's rights, and we won't have any issues. Then on the issue of rejecting manipulation, I think it stems from the poor leadership. If we really choose good leaders, then we don't have to worry about the issue of manipulation, especially in the political sphere. I find that the youth are bribed to do this and this. And at the end of the day, you find that you're given only 200 shillings, 500 shillings, but you've taken a life outside there. You've destroyed property that maybe you've destroyed a business. The business that you've burnt down employs more than 30 people. So at the end of the day, are you helping the country in eradicating poverty, or are you pulling another person into poverty? Because if at all you destroy a business, it means that the employees of that guy plus the guy himself are being dragged into poverty, the same poverty that you are alleging to fight. So I think the youth need to stand up, step up, think on your feet, and I believe change begins with us, because in law we say that nemo dat quod non habet, which translates to you cannot give what you don't have in the first place. So as the youth, we need to embrace peace from our homes, and it's common knowledge that charity begins at home. So if you do it from yourself, then you do it to your neighbor, then the neighbor will do it to another person, and at the end of the day, the cycle continues, and it will get back to you. So on resolving conflicts through lawful means, I think what I can say is that the other informal means of resolving conflict, the issues like mob justice, are only good if you are not the one who is being punished. Because the issue you have with mob justice is that in the normal cases, you find that someone has been convicted wrongfully. It is not new, where we find that a person was there was an allegation that was made against someone which was not true, and people acted on the same allegation. They beat up this guy. The guy is dead, and then you come to realize that it was not true. How do you recover that? Because that's a family. You pushed a family into mourning. With the lawful means, we have the avenues like an appeal, where you've been convicted wrongfully. The person can appeal if indeed it was a false allegation, and you can be let free. But how will you recover a death? So it's very prudent that we just follow the lawful means, and the law is very good because it's a stepwise thing. If you report to the security office, they do what they do, then you are dissatisfied, you have an avenue to appeal to a higher court, and you'll move like at the end of the day, you'll find justice. But if we resort to this other informal means, then at the end of the day, you lead to more injustice than justice. So I think that's all I can say on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Akili, for that insight. Youth becoming peace ambassadors, advocating for peaceful ways, and making a peaceful community. I'll read some of the comments in the chat. Sami Kisengani says, an informed, confident, and connected young person is better equipped to resist misinformation, hate, and harmful influence while promoting peace and positive change. That is true. Stacey Michelle talks about misinformation, online propaganda, hate speech, and peer influence can distort young people's thinking and well-being. But resilience can be built through critical thinking, media literacy, and positive peer support. That is where we engage Rhoda Winnie on how media can help us change. Now, on the same note, creating peace ambassadors in the youth, I want to engage Stacy Michelle in a question. Stacy, confirm if you are on with us. Stacy Michelle. Okay, question for Stacy Michelle. What one practical action will you personally take to promote peace and strengthen resilience in your school? What one practical action will you personally take to promote peace and strengthen resilience in your own school? Stacy Michelle, if you are on, Stacy.
Yes, Regan.
Okay. What one practical action will you personally take to promote peace and strengthen resilience in your own school?
Okay, practical action I will take is first I'll organize and also participate in regular peace dialogues forum for, of course, young people, where individuals from different backgrounds can openly discuss issues affecting them, promote understanding, and find peaceful solutions to the conflicts. This is why we choose dialogue over conflict. This will help reduce intolerance, strengthen unity, and build resilience within this, not only in the schools and universities, but community at large. So in short, talking will help. But are we just going to talk? No, of course, there must be an action. We must implement our action. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Creating spaces for young people to engage. That is what Peacelink 360 tries to do. The conversations we have are trying to give the young people space to reflect and enlighten each other on what is affecting them and how they can change. Thank you, Stacy, for that.
Now, before we conclude, we'd like to get our final view from a lawyer. If every young Kenyan chose today to become a voice of peace instead of a tool for violence or manipulation, what practical transformation will we witness in our country over the next 5 years? And where should that transformation begin?
Okay, thank you. And I'll answer the second level of the question, which is on where should that transformation begin. The answer is very simple. It begins with you. If you change, then you can. The next person changes, then the other person changes. Then at the end of the day, we'll achieve a common goal. And when you talk about the young people, when they choose to become a voice of peace instead of a tool of violence or manipulation, then I believe the Kenya as a country will be very far, because at the moment we are looking at the statistics. We are moving at a very good pace in terms of civil education and in terms of enlightenment. And I believe, using the example of corruption, if today we choose to stop bribing, just imagine a country where I don't give bribes, you don't give bribes, nobody takes bribes, then everything is done on merit. Just imagine a situation like that. Then it's definitely the best you can get out of Kenya as a country, because looking at Kenya, we have enough resources. It's just because that we have the issues of bribery, corruption, and all that leads to the all challenges that we're having. So in choosing to become a voice of peace instead of a tool of violence and manipulation, if today we decide collectively that we are not going to listen to these politicians who want to divide us on tribal lines, and we are not going to take any money from them, then there will be no one to bribe. And if there's no one to bribe, then it follows that the guy will definitely go home. So I'll leave you with one saying, which says that addiction is proof that you have an intense devotion. You just serve the wrong God. So this is to the tune of the wrong things that we do. You find that today you bribe, tomorrow you bribe, the next day you bribe. Just imagine you not doing that. So addiction is proof that you have intense devotion. You just serve the wrong God. Reflect on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Akili. Tonight's discussion has reminded us of one important truth. This is not built by chance. It's built through the choices we make every day, the conversations we have, the information we share, the people we influence, the courage to reject violence, and the commitment to stand for what is right even when it is difficult. As young people, we are not merely the leaders of tomorrow. We are leaders today. Each one of us has the power to influence our families, our schools, our institutions, our workplaces, and our communities.
Fellow youths, tonight, let us remember this. Every voice matters, every action matters, every choice matters. Let us choose dialogue over hatred, understanding over misinformation, lawfulness over violence, hope over fear, peace over conflict. Because resilient communities are not built by governments alone, but by us. They are built by ordinary people who make extraordinary choices every single day.
Okay, thank you. I want to invite Regan Kateti to say something. Kateti.
And say yes to peace. That is done through resilience. Resilience is the ability to stay strong, make wise decisions without making harmful influences. Resilience is built through knowledge, strong influence, strong values, supportive relationships, critical thinking, and active participation in building peaceful communities. So, to the youth, let's stay strong and build on resilience. Thank you.
Okay, now, on behalf of Peacelink 360 Conversations, this has been Dialogue Series, yet another episode. Till next time, stay tuned. I will have the same session next Wednesday, same time, on all our social media platforms, KSC Scouts. See you on Wednesday. Be informed, be responsible, be a voice of peace.
Good night and God bless you all.
We'll have a prayer from Regan Kochechi.